Hi, and good morning. Welcome to TV Coast to Coast, our weekly chat about all things TV. I'm Vicki Hyman from the Star Ledger in sunny New Jersey and NJ.com, and I'm suffering from a change of seasons cold, so forgive me if I start sneezing. I am joined by Dave Walker of the Times-Picayune and NOLA.com. Hey, Dave.
Hey.
And Kristi Turnquist of the Oregonian, OregonLive.com. Our fourth panelist, Mark DeWitziak of the Cleveland Plain Dealer, is off this week, so if you're in the mood for a mustache fix, you'll have to wait. We have been discussing in recent weeks a lot of new shows, and I'm going to be talking about The Return, which is A&E's remake of the French supernatural thriller Les Revenants, which premiered on Monday. Kristi is going to be looking at one returning show, Bates Motel, which is also on A&E on the same night. And Dave is going to wrap up the first season of Togetherness, which is the relationship dramedy on HBO. Dave, I really enjoyed Togetherness. I watched all 8 episodes in 2 sittings when I got the screeners. I know you feel the same way, and it's got a lot of local angles for you. How'd you think about the first season?
I really loved it. I think they left it with a great cliffhanger for next season, and that was obviously before they knew they'd have a next season. So I thought it was a very satisfactory, open-ended kind of conclusion to the 8 episodes. This show was really a ground-level look at a time in life that can be very disturbing to people, especially for married couples who have just had kids and are wondering if that all there is. They are not sure about each other or their family or their professional lives, and this does a great job of looking at some of those doubts and some of those explorations that people go on. It also does very well in looking at the lives of single people at that same life stage, in their 30s, life's moving on for them, and they've really not connected personally or professionally with what they think life is supposed to be. This show exists in that space. It's the Duplass brothers, and their method is scripting the work, but then improvising a little bit. The result is like not acting at all. I think they really go for the real, and very affecting, very cool, often very funny. Steve Zissou is really charming and funny and great. The big revelation for this, aside from the local angles, the Duplass brothers and Zissou are all went to the same high school here in New Orleans. And spoiler alert, they do send the story here after the end of the 8th episode, which will be really interesting to see if they do pull that off. But the revelation for me was Melanie Lynskey, who I didn't know at all for this show. And then in a period of a few days, she was at the 2.5 Men session at TCA, so and played a big role in the finale that has happened while this season rolled on. I wrote the mushiest fanboy piece that I never actually posted. It was just too I was too obviously drunk with infatuation for her and her character and her work. I still feel that way, but I'm glad it's not in print. So Togetherness concluded. It's coming back, and I think fans of the show will really be thrilled about that. And it's yet to be discovered by a massive audience. The numbers were not very good, but reviewed nonetheless, and wisely by HBO. Kristi, you're going to talk about Bates Motel. I have not followed this show, but I popped in the screener for season 3, and I really kind of like the tone, and it's just this imagining of the world that Hitchcock didn't go to before the film. Anyway, it's its own really wild thing, and I ended up kind of liking it. Is it a favorite of yours, or are you going to rip it?
No, actually, I've been following it with interest for a not really local angle. To begin with, it's set in this fictional town called White Pine Bay, Oregon. There is no such town, and needless to say, the show actually films in British Columbia. But it has that woodsy, sort of Twin Peaksy kind of feeling of the Northwest that shows up in another new A&E show that you're going to be talking about, Vicki. I think Bates Motel is the best show on the A&E channel, which is probably not that high a praise, since the A&E channel, which back in the ancient times started out as an arts and entertainment channel and has since kind of dumped that mission statement and is now this weird hodgepodge of Duck Dynasty and reruns and stuff. But Bates Motel really does stand out because it does have, as you mentioned, Dave, this cool tone. It's sort of totally dark comedy, but with suspense. And it is weirdly unpredictable considering we all know how this story ends. I mean, this is this reimagined, contemporary set prequel to Psycho, that takes tons of liberties with Psycho, but the bones of the story are there. We've got Freddie Highmore playing the 18-year-old as season 3 begins, Norman Bates, and he's been just expert at weaving in just more and more elements of the classic Anthony Perkins performance from Psycho, and he does it in a very subtle way. And Vera Farmiga is just terrific as his mother, Norma Bates, and these two have the most icky mother-son bonding you've ever seen in your life. And the plotting has been the total weak spot in the first 2 seasons, but what makes the show work and is as strong as ever, I think, in season 3 are the terrific performances between Highmore and Farmiga, and the relationship that they build between this mother and son, who we know are going to end, it's going to end badly between these two. But it's this intense relationship they have with its own sort of issues and tensions. And then there's obviously the overarching tension of, Norman, he has these blackouts, and bad things happen when he has them. And it's really unfortunate for the other people of White Pine Bay. There are other characters, and they're pretty good too. But obviously, the heart of the show is the Norman bond, and they just keep making it really fascinating. And as a character study, I love it. I think it's really smart about that. Goofy plotting aside. Now, Vicki, I want to ask you what you think about sort of its companion show on Monday night on A&E, The Returned, which is set in this mountainous town in Washington, also filmed in British Columbia.
Of course. Well, for those of you who have a hard time keeping straight your supernatural dramas about the dead returning to a remote mountain town seemingly unchanged and how it shakes up the lives of the loved ones they left behind, this is not ABC's Resurrection. This is a good thing. I did actually like Resurrection when it premiered, and then I liked it much less as it went on. The Return is actually a faithful, so far, remake of the French series Les Revenants, which aired on Sundance back in 2013 and won a legion of fans for its intelligent and nuanced look at grief and loss, combined with a extremely spooky, very imaginative, and only occasionally violent take on the zombie genre. And this version should do exactly the same thing for people who don't like to read subtitles. It's got a fine cast: Jeremy Sisto, Michelle Forbes, Mark Pellegrino, Mary Elizabeth Winstead. There's no one too famous that will be bigfooting the drama, which is pretty evenly stretched out among a handful of these returned people. And it's pretty remarkable how the producers managed to recreate the same sort of claustrophobic, closed-off sense of this small town, which, as you said, is in the mountains, supposedly, I guess, of eastern Washington. In fact, the remake is so faithful in all regards, right down to the costume and the hairstyling, that in itself, it almost becomes a bit distracting for those of us who watch the original, and that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. The producers have said that the story is going to diverge from the original about midway through the season, and I actually have some mixed feelings about it. It's really refreshing to see this foreign property brought over to the United States and not completely stripped of everything that makes it special. It's cast with big names and dumbed down. Essentially, everything Episodes is spoofing over on Showtime. But after watching the first 4 episodes that are so similar to the French version, I actually went back and I'm like, that looks really familiar. And it's not shot for shot, but it's pretty close. I just really feel that they've got a good enough grasp on the premise and the setting and the characters that I'm actually looking forward to seeing them now take it into a new direction. I wasn't like overly thrilled with where the first season of Les Revenants ended up. And so I'm really interested in seeing where they go from now on. I thought it was pretty fabulous. I don't know if some of that is like left over from how much I enjoyed the version that aired on Sundance, but I'm really looking forward to the last, I don't know how many episodes are going to be, like 10 or 12. So I really can't wait to see where it goes. Did any of you manage to catch it?
I saw that. Yeah. Go ahead, Vic. Go ahead.
Oh, I watched the first episode, and it was interesting to compare it with Bates Motel, because Bates Motel has this sort of frenzied energy to it, and The Returned is very slow paced and very much like a ghost story. which I was intrigued by. I'll watch some more. I wasn't completely sold, and I must confess I did not watch the original French series, and perhaps that makes a difference. But I was curious enough about it to keep watching for a while.
You should definitely watch one of them. I don't care which one. Just watch one of them.
I haven't seen the French show, and I've only seen the first hour of the new show, but I really liked it. And I liked the same things Kristi did. It seems like this world is really accurately and fully built, and it made me want to come back and see where the story goes. And I don't have to worry about it knowing where it goes since I haven't watched the French version. So I really kind of dug it.
Okay. Well, thanks, guys, for joining me today. We'll be back next week, as always. Not sure what we'll be talking about, but it will no doubt be something penetrating, interesting, and wonderful. So see y'all later. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.